Filmed in front of a studio audience in Denver, Colorado, I'm Richard Brevig, and this is Expose UX,
a new startup competition.
I'm the CEO of lawbooth.com, the online marketplace for lawyers.
My Dealer Service is an interactive customer engagement platform for automotive service centers and repair facilities.
Judged on user experience, not their business plan.
Willie, hear this if you hear nothing else. No cartoon characters.
To use the word improvement would suggest that it's better. I say they're the same. I hate them both.
Are they speaking with their users?
Have you actually witnessed the actual users using this?
Are they following good design patterns?
You have a text field and a text field and then a button, and I'm not getting what the flow is supposed to be.
Does their UX match their business objectives?
Don't try to trick your user. You either have a valuable product or you don't.
The winner receives tickets to Big Design Conference, Balsamic Mockups, a wireframing tool that's like sketching on a whiteboard, and Proto.io, a tool for fully interactive, high-fidelity prototypes. The judges are Rich Warnica, User Experience Manager for Cabela's, Kit Seaborg, Content Manager at Sovos Compliance, and Sean Baxter, Interactive Design Engineer at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. The startups are Aaron Titus with Crisis Cleanup, Peter Mills with My Dealer Service, and Willie Ogazarli with Law Booth. Presented by Big Design Events and filmed on location at General Assembly at WeWork in Denver. Our first startup is Crisis Cleanup. Aaron, welcome to Expose UX.
Thanks for having me.
You'll have 30 seconds for your elevator pitch. Are you ready?
Yep.
And start.
I'm Aaron Titus. This is Crisis Cleanup. Crisis Cleanup is a collaborative work order management system used by more than 900 relief agencies in 46 disasters in 27 states. It is for relief agencies only. It's not for the public. It's not for relief for the volunteers to volunteer or for survivors to request, but I am excited to show you what it does do. So once you log in, you are brought to the worker dashboard. Here you can invite others. So disaster recovery is very fluid, and you can invite everybody by simply including their email. They'll get an invite and are able to work. Next, you come to the intake form. The intake form would work as you would expect. You can type in the person's name, choose the address, and it'll show you the correct location on the map. If Google guesses wrong, pick up the pin. And then we engage in an intake form, exactly what you would expect in a disaster. Totally customizable on a per incident basis. There's a saying in disaster recovery, once you've seen one disaster, you've seen that disaster. So everything is customizable. On the map, which is the heart of Crisis Cleanup, you can see all of the work orders. Everybody has an identical view of the map. I'm just going to zoom in here so that you can see. This is remnants of Hurricane Sandy relief efforts. It's currently being used in 5 disasters across the country right now. Red icons have not been claimed. Orange icons have been claimed by an agency, and then yellow are in progress. Green and gray have been closed for one reason or another. So if I click on this, I can click Edit. I can claim, and the edit comes up over here on the right-hand side. I can save that. I can also claim it from the map and change the status.
First of all, let me congratulate you. It's always hard to launch something and make it a success. One of the things I'm curious about is the story that you tell right at the beginning in terms of a soccer game, boxes over the head. Did you try other examples? Is that really the best one that will connect with your audience?
So that is a reference to a YouTube video. The front page is not as, it doesn't tell, the front page itself doesn't tell the story. The YouTube video, I think, does a lot better.
I wouldn't rely on the YouTube video to help set up the story. You have to assume that this will be someone's first introduction to your website, and that story isn't coming across as powerful as I think the app and what it's set up to do is. And so I would reconsider the story and how you tell that up front.
I also congratulate you. This is quite a bit of good work. My question is more about the information you're gathering each time your application is used. And if you are using that data and those findings to inform better design as you go.
As you might imagine, I have a list about as long as my arm of improvements that I would like to make. When you are a nonprofit open source labor of love powered by neurosis, there are limitations to what you can do.
Can you flip back a screen where you were entering the emails? What is the primary action here that you're asking the user to do?
Invite teammates.
So that really is the invite teammates by email field. I guess my feedback here is that the hierarchy of the page doesn't necessarily say that, right? It is first, yes, but it blends in. Those two buttons are very similar. Suggestion, call that out more, make it clear.
Sounds good.
Looking at the next two screens, the one with the magnifying glass and the one with the fire icons, it didn't immediately stand out to me what I should do or how I should look at it. And for lack of a better term, it almost seemed too cutesy for something that required me to be quick to act, particularly if you mentioned the idea of one street not receiving any sort of services. That seems like it should be called out as an action that I need to respond to very quickly. And I'm losing that in this visualization.
I haven't received any feedback about confusion about what you should do once you're in there.
Just because you didn't get feedback doesn't mean that they aren't struggling with it. Did you actually watch and a user go through this, a customer go through this, look over their shoulder and see how they're responding to the icons?
Actually, yeah. During Hurricane Sandy relief, I was at a field command center, and there were two 60-year-olds teaching each other how to use crisis cleanup. And they had no idea that I had anything to do with it, and I was just kind of lurking and watching them. And one of them turned to the other and said, "And look, you just click it, and then it just works." I'm like, yes, I did something right. Now, it is by no means perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's great that you're doing that. My question here, though, is aligned with what Sean was asking, and that is the simplification here on this screen. There's, I think I count 12 icons there, according to the legend. So I'm just wondering, can you simplify that? Is there a way to simplify that, right? That is a lot of memory load for somebody to try to sift through, especially given the visualization that we're looking at here. A lot of them are crammed together. It is hard to differentiate. The color is not necessarily the only way people can differentiate things, right? You have people that are visually impaired from a color perspective, and that creates problems. So I'm just wondering, a different shape, simplifying down the number, might be a good suggestion here.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have a question about what happens if you don't have an internet connection in a disaster situation? Do you have an interface that works if you lose connectivity?
Currently, we do not. After most disasters, most communications are up after 72 hours, which is the very earliest that any of these volunteers are deploying anyway.
I think that what you're doing is very powerful, and the types of things that we're recommending are somewhat subtle to take it to a finer degree of usability. Sometimes shaving off a little time of accessing the app itself, sometimes just making it more welcoming for people who aren't as technically savvy. So if you consider, as you go forward, considering folks that aren't used to using interactive maps with their phone, and some of the language that could be more welcoming, thanking them for each step they take on each screen. They are volunteers. Those are the subtleties that would really warm up your application, and I think would make people embrace it even more.
Yeah, I guess my final thought would be just consider the context of use. And again, I'm guessing you're in a somewhat crisis situation. To get an email password and change it, and it's a lot of steps here that people are going through. There's register, and there's contact, and there's reset, and it seems like you could simplify that down. Given the context, I'm trying to help somebody, I'm trying to get something done, there is some kind of crisis going on. Simplify that process.
Experts, thank you for your feedback. Let's have a round of applause for Crisis Cleanup. Aaron, thank you. Our next startup is My Dealer Service. Peter, welcome to Expose UX.
Thanks for having me.
You'll have 30 seconds for your elevator pitch. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
And start.
So My Dealer Service is an interactive customer engagement platform for automotive service centers and repair facilities, where we can close the loop in customer communication. If you've ever felt out of the loop getting your car repaired, we're bringing that back with digital communication and two-way text messaging, along with a full interactive experience for the customer.
Thank you. And you'll now have 2 minutes to show us My Dealer Service. Are you ready?
All right, so what we're looking at on the left side of the screen is the interactive dashboard, and this is what the service person sees on their end. It's a full snapshot of the service department. Now they can see all the open repair orders and all statuses where they're at, and sorting all over the place by customer name and status and times. They can drill down and actually communicate directly with the customer. Now upon creating a new job, if you look on the right side of the screen, that's my iPhone, and I'm playing the role of the customer on this. When a car is checked in, they receive an automated text message on their smartphone, along with a link. The link opens up a dedicated mobile web page for that customer. So they have a dedicated web page to the repair of their vehicle. If I scroll through here, we have the branding information around the dealership and some quick buttons to call the dealership, get directions back there, and also a handy photo of our service contact. Back on the left side of the screen, the service advisor communicating with the customer has a fully documented history of the communication with the customer. So I'm going to go ahead and send a message back. And immediately, the service advisor is communicated with via the customer, and they get these pop-up notifications. So if I'm working in any other screen on the application, I can simply click on the notification, and it takes me right back to the job associated with this message. I can scroll down and see our full conversation right here, and I can continue the conversation with the customer. Additionally, I can send inspections to the customer, photos and videos of their repair, documents such as like a credit check or things like that, and we can also request a digital estimate approval. So let's say this is a brake job, and I need to request that it's okay for us to go forward. I'm going to send the customer $500 estimate approval. They instantly receive a text message where they can click on the link, wait for this to load up here, and now they know exactly how much the repair is going to cost. They can click on the approve button and actually sign for the approval right there on their smartphone. I'll just scribble in my signature. Let's go ahead and confirm it so we make sure their kid is not doing this for them. And there we go. Now on the advisor screen, they receive a notification as well, letting them know that the job has been approved and they can move forward with the repair.
Thank you. Let's have a round of applause for My Dealer Service. Experts, what are your recommendations?
Can you go back to the initial screen that the dealer sees?
Yes, sir. There we are.
And can you just talk me through this a little bit?
Basically, from left to right, we can track the repair order number, so right here, the customer name, we hover over, get the phone number, status of the vehicle, which actually can be quick changed on the fly, so we can, with a couple taps, send off a text message to the customer, when it was last updated, the vehicle information, who the actual advisor is assigned to the job, the contact preference, whether it be a phone call, email, or text message. We can even assign it to a technician and then drill down further into the job.
Great. Have you actually witnessed people, the actual users using this?
Yes.
And talk to me about that.
It's very, they find it very intuitive is from what I've seen. It's resembled of similar screens they already are used to in the automotive industry, so it's kind of been designed around that with a fresh new kind of look and feel, particularly the color scheme. A lot of the things they use are actually on white backgrounds with dark text, and we switched it to a dark background with lighter text, and they said it's actually been easier on the eyes because they stare at the computer all day long.
Can you describe how this integrates with a customer database that is not using the text messaging?
Okay, perfect. So for example, if a customer did not want to receive the text messages, for example, they just wanted a traditional phone call, the software can actually be used to track the process if they wanted to all the way through the repair by simply making the changes in the status and simply not texting the customer. If I actually change the customer contact preference to phone call, like right here, save it, now if I try to go in to message a customer, all customer messaging is actually disabled. So we don't bother the customer in any way, shape, or form. Additionally, a customer, if they're sent a text message by accident, they have the ability to opt out.
I'm hoping you're going to tell me this. Where's the alert to the service agent to say, hey, you haven't informed customer X?
That's an excellent question. That's actually built into the system. Right here on the main screen, we actually have, you'll see these colors right here. This is green, 24 hours to go. That's actually an estimated time to completion that the advisor can set for themselves, so they can actually set goals and meet those goals. When it gets down to 1 hour, it turns yellow, and then between 30 minutes and past due, it actually turns orange in this case. And then at that time, when it comes past due, you'll receive a notification as well.
Okay, now when you floated over or hovered over that, I noticed seems to be a disconnect with the orange text, and yet it still had this positive green as if everything is okay. I would recommend syncing that color relationship a little bit better to put some urgency to what I have to do.
Interesting, yes.
I'm guessing, I'm pretty confident that that red text in that black box would not pass any kind of Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines.
Perhaps it might not.
Yeah.
We haven't done much visibility testing on this
Yep.
yet, or
Yep.
accessibility.
Yep. So that might be a whole scheme that you really want to look at.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that you got customer feedback and they wanted all of this information, but it's all the same. Everything is the exact same size, spacing, feel, and certainly some piece of information has to stand out from the other at contextually relevant times. If you thought about how that interface could elevate that, or I would recommend finding the moment when I'm at this screen, what is it that I most need to do, and calling that out in a way that pulls it away from the muck and mire.
Absolutely. One of my goals has kind of been almost particularly, and maybe you can provide some feedback, is going kind of like to card style on each individual job, giving some separation between the linearness of this, because it is a very table layout.
So one thing that you can test is putting things in tabs. By putting it in tabs, that allows the user to go to the specific thing that they need to do, and then you can enlarge that information so it's much easier to read, sort of a detailed screen for that specific thing. So there could be the dashboard, and then that allows me to drill down. And of course, if there's an alert, it calls it out to go back to the other screen, or there's something on that screen that I'm currently on, click through and bring me to the alert information.
When you suggest him to use tabs, are you saying on each individual card, or how specifically are you thinking for him to implement that?
Yeah, I think you'd have to go back in the story a little bit further. So there is the idea of choosing by the customer that I need to communicate to and separating out that information in tabs. But then there's also the dashboard. So looking at this right now, I could see being able to click onto the customer and then bring forward different pieces of information that are separated by tabs. But it might just be that you need a detail screen. So by clicking onto a customer, that information, it could be separated out, not just in terms of the text, but to the specific information. I guess to clarify, what I'm seeing here is just a lot of overload. And every customer wants everything. And so you want to provide that. But it's how consumable is that information. And as I go through each screen, perhaps looking at it day to day, the same issues that they had with the white screen of staring at all of this information for the 50 customers that I'm dealing with through the day seems like a lot, where maybe all I need to know is let this person know that their car will be available in an hour. And if that's all I need to know, I don't want to visually go through this much clutter just to be alerted, click in there, what is it that I need to tell them, and tell them.
I want to go back to who is the user? So is there like a guy who sits there 8 hours a day and is on this thing contacting customers and updating them? Or is it literally any, I'll just use this, mechanic, right? I'm working on a car, I finish, I come up, I contact them, I go back and do another job. How does that work?
In the use case of a dealership, and I'm talking about like a BMW dealer or Audi or Ford, they actually have advisors in place, which it's their job to be the salesman in the repair shop. Because you have your sales guys on the floor selling you new cars. The guys that you check in with and you talk, they call you, it's their job to be a sales associate to you. They're our primary user.
That's who's using this.
They're using this almost 8 hours a day.
Yep. Then I have to tell you, I buy the density that you have on the screen.
Okay.
I do question the color scheme a little bit here, right? I do question that. I really do think that looking at some of this, again, it's a trap that I see a lot, but you're using colors, and it can be kind of subtle here to indicate status of something. I don't know exactly what that is. Could that be done a different way? Color in and of itself, I question using that solely to identify status. Shape, right? And color.
We've tried with these bars here, we tried using like a pie graph or circle as well. The colors, unfortunately, was a request by our customers to make them customizable in color scheme, because I wanted just one color scheme to make it not so colorful.
To help with the visual density, have you tried just using icons for the different status? For the two things that stand out to me is the status and how much width it takes up and the information it communicates, and also the updated information in terms of how much time. Those seem to be two really key pieces of information that really drives how I communicate with the customer. All the other things are important, but it's kind of enter once and then move on. And so it seems like those are the two specific areas that need to be drawn out, simplified, and much clearer than it is now.
Experts, thank you for your feedback. Let's have a round of applause for My Dealer Service.
Thank you, Peter.
Our final startup is LawBooth. Willie, welcome to Expose UX.
Thanks, Richard.
You'll have 30 seconds for your elevator pitch. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Start.
So my name is Willie Ogazali, and I'm the CEO of lawbooth.com, the online marketplace for lawyers. We make it as simple as possible for someone who's searching for a lawyer online to not only find the right lawyer for their needs, but to schedule a free initial consultation. On the other side of our marketplace, we help solo practitioners and boutique law firms fill their empty hours with the type of clients that they want to meet with. So our platform is always free for clients and people searching for a lawyer, and we charge law firms for the empty hours and the leads that we bring them.
You'll now have 2 minutes to show us LawBooth. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
And start.
So let's find a lawyer. I'll show you guys how easy it is to find a lawyer and book a free consultation. So here you see a directory of lawyers that are sorted based on the distance from that zip code. And if you'd like to sort by other parameters, you can go ahead and use the sort and filter system here on the right. So we're going to look for a lawyer that can help with an acquisition, who actually does a flat fee, and who accepts cash. So here it's Jeff. He looks like a good fit. Check out his profile to get a little bit more information on him. And when you're ready to book a free consultation, you can choose a meeting location. We're going to go ahead and choose secure video chat, do this conveniently. And then this is a real-time calendar synchronization. So we're actually synced with this lawyer's Google Calendar. And right now we're going to pick a time that works for both us, the client, and the lawyer. And we want to meet soon, so we're going to meet tomorrow. And then you can provide some really basic details to help the attorney prepare for the meeting and click done. And your appointment's booked. The empty spot is now taken out of the attorney's calendar, and both the client and the lawyer receive instant notifications via email and SMS, knowing that the appointment is booked and confirmed. As you guys may have noticed, we have a lot of cartoons on the website, which is kind of because we started by focusing on college students. But now we're at the point where, although we love the cartoons, we think they might be a bit distracting. I have a screenshot for kind of what we're looking at doing, and I'd just love to hear your feedback on if we're on the right track or what else we could do to, as we go through this redesign process, to have the best experience for people searching for a lawyer. So as you can see here, we've really kind of simplified it quite a bit. And we're right in the process of redesigning it. So any feedback you guys have today will be immediately valuable in this process.
Experts, what are your recommendations?
Well, let's jump right into your redesign question.
Cool.
Your original design here on your homepage is very welcoming and friendly, and if your target audience at this point is younger people who have not had an experience with an attorney. Perhaps they don't want to call their parents first, but they need to understand the process. Keeping it simple like this is valuable. The comment I have about making it more useful would be to educate your user as they go. What I'm looking for here and not seeing are tips and instructions and when might I want this type of fee type versus another, what kind of attorney do I need. Those kinds of things could be addressed in the interface itself. My reaction to your new design is that it actually looks a bit like a step backward. It's a little text heavy, not so designed and graphically engaging.
Thank you.
Willie.
What's up, Rich? I can't tell if it's a good Willie or a bad Willie.
Well, I guess here's what I would say. If I'm looking for an attorney, I'm not sure this instills a lot of confidence in me, right?
Exactly.
And so I think you are headed in the right direction with your redesign. So there's something called persuasion, emotion, and trust. I don't get a lot of trust from looking at cartoon characters when I'm trying to get myself out of jail or somebody that I care about, presumably. And so I think in some way you're on the right track here. It looks more professional. And so I think that's a good thing. It is simplified. It is a little difficult on the previous screen to even tell that there was a drop down that I needed to select, right? Or there's a zip code I needed to enter, and you're making that clear on this page, so I think that is a step forward. I don't know about the rest of the page there, but that top section is getting people into it, and it is better than the cartoon characters.
Thank you. Yeah, we've struggled because we really like the cartoon characters personally, so that's difficult in and of itself. But we also didn't want to have a website that looked like all of the other legal websites out there, which might be what people's expectations are. So we're struggling to try to meet expectations while also showing an experience that's at the opposite end of the spectrum of all of our competitors.
You said a really interesting statement. We like it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
You're not the customer. And that is the critical thing. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. We really fall in love with something, but we're not the customer. And in the context, I'm trying to solve a problem. It might be a really grave problem, right? And cartoon characters not inspiring that confidence that I'm going to find a reputable attorney here to help me, right?
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, thank you.
All right, I disagree. I think that the idea of having a personality to the opening page is really important. Now, I will agree that the cartoon characters make it less credible. So, but I would stay with a design that is makes a human connection rather than just the text.
Got it. So maybe there's a happy medium that we can find where it's really simplified, but maybe there is a cartoon character somewhere.
Willie, hear this if you hear nothing else. No cartoon characters. All right, please, I'm begging you. I think that is a legitimate point. I think it can still have a personality. Cartoon characters, though, not the personality you're looking for.
For legal, necessarily, right? Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, not the floating yoga guy.
I'm going to disagree to a certain degree with my colleagues here. Going to your new website or where you're thinking of going, there's nothing that I like about this. Not the top, not the angry fruit salad that comes later. There's nothing that I like about it, so scratch that idea. Now, let's talk about what's right with your original design and just make improvements upon it.
Cool.
It sounds like the cartoon is the biggest issue. I'm split because I think what you have is a problem. You're trying to communicate both to the college student and to the lawyer.
Yeah.
Give them a separate website. Give them something else for them to enter their information and stick to one audience with this website. Now, the cartoons feel a little bit heavy, but I like the flavor of it. So you need to find not just a happy medium, but stay on this side of things. Actually, I'm responding well to it. Here's where I feel like the biggest issue is. I want to basically get to entering the information that I need to find the lawyer that I need. And I lose it with this. I can't quite find it as easy as I would like to. If I'm still, I'm have a hangover and I'm getting out of that headache, I just want to get to it. So maybe that needs to come up to the top in the cartoon, or the image is at the bottom. But I need to be able to get to that information quickly, enter, and get to where I'm going. But the rest of the flavor, I'm kind of feeling it. Maybe there's a different style of cartoon that'll resonate and still keep that kind of youthful feel.
And so just to be clear, the information that you'd like us to bring to the banner is letting users know that they have the ability to input that information, or actually letting them input that information on the first banner?
Yeah, it's the find business attorneys and the zip code. I need to be able to clearly see it with blurry eyes that this is where I go to put in information. And right now it's a white with a light blue against a light. There's no contrast. I could barely tell. I get caught up with the cartoon, so I could easily skip past that, and I may start trying to find a way to enter that information at the top, which is not what you want because it's very big and present. But you can look past it so easily because of some of the busyness that the cartoon is providing there.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yes, we have consensus on that.
Cool.
So more contrast, and then also the use of the button, the search, it's free button. It doesn't seem to fit in with the rest of the design. You have a text field and then a button, and I'm not getting what the flow is supposed to be. I would like to know what I'm supposed to do, to Sean's point. What am I supposed to do? Don't make me think.
Got it.
To that end, there's a lot of thinking going on just to put in very, very simple information. So that just needs to clean up. I don't expect to hit a search button and pay for it, so you don't need to tell me it's free. Just give me the information that I need to input, and let's go.
Cool.
Can we move on in the process?
Yeah.
So what's the information contained here? So we got a picture. We've got the type of attorney.
Yep,
that
so
they are?
practice areas right here.
Yep.
Their price per hour, if they've input it.
Yep.
The fact that they offer a free initial consultation, and their location. And their law firm, which gets more important as you get to the larger firms.
Right, right. And then the filtering over on the left there, is that what that is?
Yes, this is all sorting and filtering.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah, so this is it's a new addition to the website, the sorting and filtering. And right now we're browsing our full directory of lawyers. So what's set in stone is the structure. We can modify it, but right now specialties, payment type, payment structure, it'll always be in this order. And then the actual specialties, these move around based on what's actually in the directory.
There needs to be some simplification here. To your point, it needs to be improved. You have these big title specialties, payment types. Normally, I wouldn't recommend having to click through more than once, but with that much information, rolling it up into a simple plus or some sort of drop down, a plus that expands that section, I get to click what I want and then close it back up, makes that way more consumable.
I like that.
I'm not seeing a correlation between the star ratings on the homepage and anything in the directory. If you're going to have ratings, then make that clear, include them in both places, or just drop the rating altogether. Ratings are a tricky business.
And we haven't added that feature yet. So right now we should take them off the homepage. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
And just to hammer on the sorting, I'm assuming those numbers are telling me how many attorneys there are of that type.
Correct.
Again, I think if you're looking at simplification, I don't know what the value that adds, right? So, for example, I want a particular type of attorney. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to see them. I don't know that I need to know it before I click on it.
Definitely. Thanks.
I find myself strangely intrigued, yet very confused by your logo. A backwards check. I've never seen a check mark that direction before, so I'm assuming there's a story behind it, and it's awfully thick and unbalanced. That's where I have a problem.
So I designed that. No, I'm just kidding. We actually had a contest to come up with a logo, and as you can see, we're looking at losing the heart in the check because, again, it might mean a lot to us. It's an LB, and we want to help you find a lawyer you love, but that doesn't really come across to our actual customer. So do you guys think this is an improvement just over the old logo? Or any other changes you would make as we kind of redesign it?
To use the word improvement would suggest that it's better. I say they're the same. I hate them both.
Cool. Any feedback? Because again, we wanted to avoid the typical legal logo. We didn't want the columns and the scales of justice and the Times New Roman. And we wanted something that looked cool and like a startup. So again, trying to find the happy medium. Any feedback as we redesign the logo?
It's unclear to me what booth means.
So the story behind that, again, we had a contest to come up with our name, and we ended up, the booth is a marketplace. It's like a booth in a marketplace. And the big challenge was trying to find a domain name that was affordable and available as a .com. So that's probably one of the main reasons we went with Law Booth, was the lack of the better alternatives. But, and we were happy with it. So I agree, it's not perfect, but there is at least some reasoning behind it.
The actual name Law Booth doesn't really bother me, but it's the identity that I feel like I'm losing. And you can't solve this with a contest. So one of the things that I would suggest you do is find a really good graphic designer and tell your story and have them create a logo around that. And I think that's the thing. It goes back to having that story. Right now, you're still in that area, that gray area of are we trying to get to college students? Are we trying to get to more serious people that have more money to spend so that we can make more money? Are we catering to the lawyers? You got to pick your audience and double down on that. And then within that, you'll have your story to then find a great graphic designer, pay them their money, and come up with a logo that fits.
Definitely. Spoken like a true expert. Yeah. Thank you.
Experts, thank you for your feedback. Let's have a round of applause for Law Booth. Thank you, Lily. The experts will now choose a winner. They're looking for the startup with the best user experience. Experts, thank you. Experts, welcome back. Have you made your decision?
Yes, we have. And the winner is My Dealer Service.
Peter, please step forward. Let's have a round of applause. Rich, what influenced your decision to choose My Dealer Service?
Looking at the user interface, I really felt it was the most complete based on who the customer was. And I'll tell you, I really think you did a great job.
Kit, what about you?
My Dealer Service was really focused and knew the customer base for this first iteration. And that's what won me over.
I thought My Dealer Service had the best story. And although I spent very little time with your product, I really had to get very nitpicky. And if you can do that, then I think you just did an excellent job.
Experts, thank you for your time and for your valuable feedback. And to the other startups, I just want to say, take the advice that you've received and use it to improve your products and grow your businesses. Let's have a round of applause for all of the startups. From Denver, Colorado, this has been Expose UX.